All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour, where the United States has now threatened Russia over its troop build-up at its border along with Ukraine. The American President Joe Biden has said that he had made it abundantly clear to his Russian counterpart, President Vladimir Putin, that Russia will end up paying a terrible price if Russia were to choose to invade into Ukraine. Now, Biden also said that the possibility of sending U.S. ground combat troops to Ukraine in the event of a Russian ground invasion is not on the table. Listen in to what the American president has had to say.
Here's the deal. I've made it absolutely clear to President Putin, it's the last thing I'll say, that if he moves on Ukraine, the economic consequences for his economy are going to be devastating. Devastating, number one. Number two, we will find it required that we'll have to send more American and NATO troops into the eastern flank, the B9, all those NATO countries where we have a sacred obligation to defend them against any attack by Russia. And number three, the impact of all of that on Russia and its attitude, the rest of the world's view of Russia, would change markedly. He'll pay a terrible price.
Meanwhile, the United States will be sending its top diplomat for Europe to Russia and Ukraine. This is to discuss Russia's troop build-up. The move also aims to reiterate the U.S.'s commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty. Dr. Karen Donfreud will be traveling to Kiev and Moscow on the 13th of December to meet with senior government officials. The United States has been urging Russia to withdraw its troops from the border with Ukraine. Remember, Russia has been warned that the G7 and its allies will impose some pretty tough measures if Russia were to abandon diplomacy. A State Department official has said, and I quote, "Moscow still has time to change its course. If they choose not to pursue that path, then there will be massive consequences and severe costs in response. And the G7 is absolutely united in that. A large number of democratic countries will be joining us in imposing these costs." Now, the warning comes in the backdrop of a two-day meeting of G7 foreign ministers. Ongoing tensions between Russia and Ukraine have so far dominated the talks. While addressing the opening session of the talks, British Foreign Minister Liz Truss urged the G7 nations to speak in one voice. She said that we need to come together to strongly stand up to the aggressors who are seeking to limit the bounds of freedom and democracy. To do this, we need to expand our economy and security posture around the world. The West, of course, is growing more and more concerned about the possibility of Russian ground invasion into Ukraine. G7 ministers aim to show that the group can in fact move beyond condemnation. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.